In the heart of a sprawling city where glass towers kissed the sky and streets pulsed with relentless energy, lived Lily, a 28-year-old woman whose days were a whirlwind of ambition and hesitation. The city thrived on dreams and relentless pursuit. Yet for Lily, that very atmosphere felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. Each morning she awoke with a flicker of hope, but as the hours passed, self-doubt crept in like a shadow, dimming her confidence and clouding her mind. Lily's apartment overlooked a busy intersection, where people hurried past, faces set with determination or burdened by their own worries. From her window, she would watch entrepreneurs rushing to meetings, artists carrying their portfolios under one arm, and students clutching books tightly as if knowledge alone could pave their way to success. She envied their certainty, their unshakable belief in themselves. But inside, Lily wrestled with a persistent fear. What if she wasn't good enough? What if her dreams were too fragile to survive the harsh realities of the world outside? This fear had become a constant companion, whispering doubts into her ear every time she thought about taking a bold step forward. She held back from submitting her writing to publishers, hesitated before applying for that coveted job, and avoided conversations that might reveal her insecurities. The vibrant city around her, alive with possibility, felt instead like a stage where she was trapped, unable to perform her part convincingly. One rainy evening, as the city lights shimmered on wet pavement, Lily sat curled up with her laptop, scrolling through social media in search of inspiration. Her fingers paused over a post announcing a seminar by a motivational speaker renowned for helping people overcome self-doubt and reclaim their confidence. The speaker's words were described as transformative, capable of breaking through the thickest walls of fear and hesitation. The thought stirred something deep inside Lily, a small spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, she could find a way out of her own tangled thoughts. For days, Lily wrestled with uncertainty about attending the seminar. What if it was just empty promises? What if she was the only one struggling while everyone else seemed to glide effortlessly toward success? Yet the voice of doubt was met with a stronger, quieter urge to try. If nothing else, the seminar might be a step toward understanding herself better, a chance to break the cycle of silence that fear had imposed. Finally, on the morning of the event, Lily dressed carefully, choosing clothes that made her feel both comfortable and capable. The city was already stirring to life as she stepped outside, the air crisp with the promise of spring. She navigated the familiar streets, the hum of cars and chatter of passers-by blending into a steady rhythm that both soothed and heightened her nerves. The seminar hall was nestled between towering office buildings, its sleek glass doors reflecting the sky. Inside, the room was filled with people from all walks of life. Young professionals, artists, students, each carrying their own burdens of doubt and hope. The air buzzed with anticipation, conversations hushed and eyes bright with the desire for change. Lily found a seat near the middle, her heart pounding as she glanced around. The motivational speaker stepped onto the stage with calm confidence, his presence commanding yet warm. His voice, steady and inviting, filled the room as he began to speak about the power of confronting one's fears and the courage it takes to embrace vulnerability. He challenged the audience to look inward and share their deepest fears aloud, to break the silence that often made those fears grow in the dark. Lily felt a knot tighten in her stomach, the thought of exposing her insecurities terrifying yet strangely liberating. As the session progressed, others began to share their stories, their voices trembling but growing stronger with each word. When it was her turn, Lily hesitated for a moment, her eyes darting to the exit before settling on the speaker's encouraging smile. Taking a deep breath, she found her voice and began to speak. Her words shaky at first but gaining strength as she focused on her own feelings rather than the eyes watching her. She spoke of the paralyzing self-doubt that held her back, the fear that her dreams were too fragile to survive the harsh realities outside her window. As she continued, the bustling city outside seemed to fade away, replaced by the shared vulnerability in the room. The act of speaking her fears aloud, once so terrifying, began to feel like a release. Lily realized that by acknowledging her doubts openly, she was taking the first step toward reclaiming the confidence that had eluded her for so long. As the last echoes of Lily's voice faded into the quiet of the seminar hall, a gentle wave of relief washed over her. Though her heart still fluttered with nerves, a subtle lightness settled within, as if a hidden weight had been lifted, if only slightly. The motivational speaker, a man whose calm presence seemed to fill the room, nodded encouragingly, his eyes reflecting a sincere understanding of the struggles shared by each person present. After the session concluded, Lily lingered among the crowd, the buzz of whispered conversations filled with tentative hope and shared vulnerability. The speaker was preparing for a smaller, more intimate gathering, inviting those willing to take their journey a step further. Something deep inside Lily urged her forward. She felt that this moment, fragile as it was, held the promise of change. The journey from the seminar hall to the quiet cafe where the smaller group would meet was brief but felt significant. The city's usual clamor softened as Lily walked, her footsteps steady despite the nervous excitement in her chest. Outside, the sky was a pale blue, streaked with wisps of clouds, and the sun caught the edges of glass buildings, casting shards of light across the pavement. Inside the cozy cafe, the speaker welcomed each participant with a warm smile. The room was intimate, filled with soft light and the comforting scent of coffee and fresh pastries. Lily found a seat near the front, her palms slightly clammy but her mind focused. The speaker began by reminding them that facing fears was not an easy path, but it was one paved with honesty and courage. He invited each person to share their story again, this time not just as a confession but as a powerful act of transformation. When it was Lily's turn, she took a breath and spoke once more of her self-doubt, the fears that had held her back, the hesitation that had silenced her ambitions. But this time, she focused not only on the fear itself but on the strength it took to face it openly, to stand in front of strangers and reveal the vulnerable parts of herself. As she spoke, the faces in the room did not judge or pity. Instead, they reflected a shared humanity, an unspoken bond forged through vulnerability. The speaker then guided the group through an exercise, to close their eyes and visualize their fears as tangible objects, to see them clearly and to imagine holding them in their hands. For Lily, the fear was a heavy stone, rough and cold, pressing down with the weight of years of hesitation and silence. The speaker's voice was soft but firm as he encouraged them to feel the stone's weight, to acknowledge its presence without resistance. Then, slowly, he asked them to imagine the stone transforming, softening, becoming lighter, smaller, until it was no more than a pebble in their palm. This visualization was not just an exercise in imagination. It was a symbolic act of reclaiming power over their fears. Lily's breath deepened as she pictured the stone shrinking, the coldness melting away into warmth. She realized that by holding her fear in her hands, by facing it directly, she was beginning to change its shape, its hold on her. The room remained silent except for the gentle sound of breathing and the occasional rustle of a chair as participants shifted in their seats. When the exercise ended, the speaker invited them to open their eyes and share what they had experienced. One by one, voices rose, tentative at first but growing stronger, as people described the transformations they had felt. Lily listened, heart swelling with a mix of empathy and inspiration. When her turn came, she spoke of the stone that had once felt immovable now becoming small enough to carry with ease, a symbol of her growing courage. The speaker then posed a challenge to the group, to take their newfound awareness beyond the room, to face their fears in real life by sharing their stories openly with others. He emphasized that courage was not the absence of fear but the willingness to act in spite of it. For Lily, this challenge was both daunting and exhilarating. The thought of exposing her vulnerabilities outside this safe space was terrifying, yet the support she felt here gave her a flicker of hope. As the gathering came to a close, Lily stepped outside into the warm afternoon, the sun casting long shadows across the sidewalk. The city felt different now, not just a place of noise and pressure, but a landscape where she could begin to assert her voice. She walked slowly, her mind buzzing with the speaker's words and the stories shared by others, each story a thread weaving a tapestry of resilience and hope. The journey back through the city streets was filled with small moments of awareness, the hum of conversation from a nearby cafe, the laughter of children playing in a park, the steady rhythm of footsteps on pavement. For the first time in a long while, Lily noticed these details without the usual cloud of worry or distraction. Her focus was sharper, her senses more attuned to the present moment. As she approached her apartment building, Lily felt a quiet determination settling within her. The path ahead was uncertain, and the fears she carried had not vanished, but they no longer seemed insurmountable. She understood that the journey to confidence was ongoing, marked by small acts of courage and self-compassion. That evening, as she sat by her window watching the city lights flicker on one by one, Lily reflected on the day's experiences. The seminar and the intimate gathering had opened a door she hadn't dared to approach before. She realized that the key to breaking free from self-doubt was not in silencing her fears, but in embracing them, giving them a voice and then choosing to move forward anyway. With a deep breath, Lily closed her eyes and envisioned the stone once more. It was still there, but lighter now, manageable. And within her was a growing strength, fueled by the simple but profound act of facing her fears openly. The city outside buzzed with possibility, and for the first time, Lily felt ready to claim her place within it. Days passed since the seminar, and Lily found herself carrying the lessons she had learned like a quiet ember glowing beneath her skin. The city around her continued its relentless rhythm, but inside, a transformation was unfolding, subtle yet profound. The fears that once felt like towering walls began to shrink, not because they had disappeared, but because their power over her was diminishing. She remembered the speaker's words clearly. Owning one's fears openly strips away their power, allowing confidence to grow from vulnerability and self-acceptance. This idea resonated deeply, challenging everything Lily had believed about strength and weakness. For so long, she had thought that admitting fear was a sign of failure, something to hide and suppress. Now, she saw that courage was not the absence of fear but the willingness to face it honestly. Lily decided to test this new understanding in her daily life. One afternoon, she met with a group of friends at a small cafe, a place where conversations flowed easily and laughter was frequent. As the talk drifted to dreams and ambitions, Lily felt the familiar tug of hesitation. Her heart pounded, and the old voice of doubt whispered that she should stay silent, that her fears were too fragile to share. But she remembered the seminar, the speaker's challenge to confront fears head-on. Taking a breath, she chose to speak. She shared her struggles with self-doubt, admitting how it had held her back from pursuing her passions. The words felt heavy at first, but as she spoke, a warmth spread through her, a connection forming as her friends listened with empathy rather than judgment. Her vulnerability was met with encouragement and understanding, and Lily felt a shift within herself. The act of sharing did not weaken her. It strengthened her resolve. She realized that confidence was reclaimed not through perfection or certainty, but through embracing imperfection and uncertainty with openness. In the days that followed, Lily took small but deliberate steps toward her goals. She submitted a writing sample to a publisher she had long admired, feeling the familiar flutter of nerves but also a steady undercurrent of determination. She applied for a job that challenged her, knowing that even if she did not succeed, the act of trying was itself a victory. Each step was accompanied by moments of fear, yet each time Lily chose to acknowledge the fear rather than retreat. She found that the more she allowed herself to be vulnerable, the more her confidence grew. It was not a sudden transformation but a gradual unfolding, like the first light of dawn slowly brightening the sky. One evening, as she sat by her window watching the city lights twinkle against the darkening sky, Lily reflected on her journey. The restless young woman who had once been paralyzed by doubt was still there, but now accompanied by a newfound strength. The fears remained, but they no longer defined her path. She understood that confidence was not a destination but a practice, a daily choice to face fears, to speak truths, and to move forward despite uncertainty. This realization brought a profound sense of peace and empowerment. Lily felt ready to embrace the challenges ahead, knowing that each step taken in courage was a step toward becoming the person she aspired to be. The story concludes with a call to the audience to like, share, and subscribe for more motivational tales, leaving them with a message of well-being and courage until the next story unfolds.